All right.
There we are. Now we're going. Now we can goof off on the clock, which is
I'm a
something
little
I've been doing
early.
a lot of. Man, I've just been like really eating them alive in overtime, and man, I cannot explain how happy it makes me to work too much right now.
Why do you
Um,
not like is you mean in terms of for the money or for the not
well,
having to be thinking about other stuff?
no, for the money. But so overtime got really tight. Like you could not, you couldn't beg for overtime there for a hot minute. But when I got stuck on third shift, um, and they kind of knew they were putting the screws to me, so I started kind of like casually, like dipping my toe in the water of overtime,
Mm-hmm.
unauthorized overtime, and they didn't like immediately chase me down. Like, let's see, stream elements bot not running. I don't know what that means. I started casually dipping my toe down into the unauthorized overtime, and I normally they would immediately come chase me down, like, no, Buck, can't no more. You got to take your lunch breaks. No, so uh, and as I gradually grew bolder and bolder, I'm like, I'm doing 12-hour days, like just because, like, and overtime for me is not a bad chunk of money, so. I'm like bending them over a barrel sideways twice a day, just like just like raw dogging it dirty, getting overtime, man. And they're not saying anything because they can't afford for me to like walk out the door. We're so short-handed, and other people have been walking out the door.
Oh,
So,
really?
um, yeah. So I stay tired, but I'm also like when the paychecks come in and they're like 400 or 500 bucks more than they were when I wasn't getting overtime. That's really nice.
Well, um, was it supposed to be for 8 o'clock? Did I fuck it up, Turd Ferguson? Did I thought it was supposed to be for 8:30, but that was probably on me.
I think it was scheduled for 8, but I mean, this is us. When Tab's here, we run a tight ship, and like we have a background. You can see here there is no background. I don't know how to bring it up. I don't know what he did. Obviously this is on Tab. He did this. This is not a failure on Uncle Buck or El Chaco. Um, we're not going to have the soundboard because, and even though Tab, as we were discussing, gave me like these specific instructions, here's how you do this and do this. And when I pulled this laptop up, I went to bring up the Discord where we have the little side chat where all the sounds are, that I could just share that to the StreamYard and then click sounds. And we could finally have sounds for a Buck and Chaco episode. Uh,
Right.
and when I brought this laptop, I was like, where's Discord? Magically gone.
Oh, geez.
Magically gone. I don't remember uninstalling it, but it is fucking gone. So
I got a
uh
sponsor for this week that came about from our family trip. You want me to run with it?
yeah, let's go ahead. We can go ahead and start the show. You can lead us off, sir.
This episode of Here's What I Don't Get is brought to you by Go Getty. Go Getty. It's spaghetti for people on the go. If you don't have time to eat your spaghetti at the table, if you want to eat that spaghetti while you're out waiting for a bus, walking your dog, or even when you're out dancing, it's Go Getty. The Go Getty spaghetti in the bag.
Yes. Hello and welcome back to Here's What I Don't Get, from north to south, east to west, the only intercontinental podcast to tackle all of life's toughest issues, and the longest consecutively running podcast on the See You Next Tuesday network, and the longest See You Next Tuesday podcast on YouTube. Total.
Still on YouTube.
Still on YouTube. I'm your host, Uncle Buck, from the red state of North Carolina. And with me today, from Canada to Paraguay, straight to your hearts, he's El Chaco!
Hola, mi enchilada. Hey, Buck. It's you and me
Hey,
again.
man.
We got the keys to the castle again.
Yes, we did. Tab couldn't be here this week. He is off. I should have made up a joke beforehand. I'm not good at doing that on the fly. You got a good joke? Some sort of made up thing that he can be doing?
I don't know. He's just blowing some glass.
He's off blowing something.
He's just blowing some glass. Yeah.
He's blowing. Just out
Blowing. He's off blowing.
He's off blowing. You know what? Sometimes that just, if it were, never mind. I was gonna try and transition into like blowing off steam, but that ruins the joke, and I'm not about to implicate myself in blowing. You're blowing smoke. That's fine.
That works.
But
this works out well, actually. Yeah, because we were originally going to do it yesterday morning, but I did a little impromptu overnight in Asuncion in the capital with the family. Because you know me, I don't like doing commerce on Sunday, right?
Gotcha.
I don't like doing commerce on Sunday.
The day after the Sabbath, yeah.
Yeah. And so we drove in, and I needed to get my computers. I had 2 computers that need to get fixed. We only go into Asuncion usually on the weekend for Sunday mass. And so I figured, why don't we just stay overnight? And then the next morning I'll take my computer in, and no harm, no foul. And it's my daughter's 7th birthday this Wednesday, tomorrow. Yeah. So we made it a point to take her to her favorite buffet. It's like this all-you-can-eat Asian restaurant called the Shangri-La, and we have to, you have to like really take your time, eh? Like, because otherwise you're gonna overstuff that stomach, and it's gonna take a couple of days to get over it. With the amount of food that they can get into you at these places, it's not one of those. Go ahead.
I'm just kind of shocked that a 7-year-old has a favorite buffet. Like, I can understand like a favorite cartoon or a favorite teddy bear, but like, yeah, it's like favorite buffet is not something I would normally associate with a child of that age.
Well, she likes sushi, and it's the only one you can get all you can eat. Well, a couple of them have sushi item, but yeah, she likes the sushi aspect of it. She's been a little sushi fiend right from the get-go.
Okay, that's a little weird.
Well, she's born in Vancouver, so
okay. Well, yeah, okay. So it comes with the territory, literally. What about the homegrown sushi on what's your plantation called now? Have you named it?
Oh yeah. Our property is called Bajo Su Manto Rancho Bajo Su Manto, which means under her mantle, the protection of Mother Mary over our ranch. And it's in just even the last week or two, it's taken quite a bit of changes on. So we still have our tilapia, and we're working on. I gotta upgrade that system, because like when we were in Asuncion yesterday, when we were on our way out, I went and there's this area of town called Garden Island, right? And it's like a whole bunch of garden stores and outdoor stuff. So we went there. We were looking for this Demetrius earth thing that we want to put to keep the ants away. Yeah, that's the word. So we wanted to do that, but they didn't have any of it. But this one place had a tilapia pond on site, and I could like see every one of the fish in it like super clear. And I was like, oh, yeah, my pond is disgusting compared to this. So I got their card. I'm like, yeah, I want to bring this guy in, whoever designed that one, to like redesign my tilapia ponds and get that going. But we're no longer just a fish farm or just an orange farm. We got sheep last weekend, not like the week before. Yeah. So we got.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah. So we got 5 sheep. We got 2 Dorpers and 3 Saint Agnes's or Santa Ines's. And they're all supposed to be great for their meat. And they reproduce. You should be able to get kind of like 1.5 new ones every year. And then we also got some Muscovy ducks, which we had mallard ducks. We still have mallard ducks, but we had Muscovy ducks. And I'd never heard of these things before. They're ugly little buggers. They don't quack. They like hiss.
they even like, better.
Yeah. But
like passive-aggressive ducks. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny, like these ducks, they do not get along. Diversity is not their strength in the duck pen.
As it should be.
Yeah, the mallards stick with the mallards, and the
equal but separate. Yeah,
exactly. They don't judge each other by the content of their character. They just judge each other.
Can you believe those mallards? Those fucking bastards.
Yeah. Whack, whack. Actually, it's the funny thing is like, so the mallards are always making noise, right? And it's just all day long. It's like, whack, 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 whack. And they're right next to the chickens. So we have this running joke in the household that they're constantly making derogatory jokes at the chickens' expense, and they're just laughing at them with their with that whack, 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 whack. So, and we're always joking about duck jokes being hilarious. If only we could understand them.
I love that your farm has lore.
It does now.
This rich lore of things that go on and the little story. I love that the little stories we make up to entertain ourselves.
And it wasn't just those either. Like we got, so I'm a part of this like group on WhatsApp, and it's like it's called avicultura, and it's like where you go to buy like livestock or birds or whatever off of people that are selling them, and usually you can find a good deal. So there's one lady named Vero. She had this post on there, and we went to go drive. It was about an hour and a half from our place to go and check out these sheep. And we get all the way out there, and it was like, I wouldn't say it was like a hoarder's house, but the animals, like you're expecting a farm, but it was not a farm. It was like a house in the front and like a work shed in the back, covered like a big room.
Okay.
And all the animals were in there. And so,
just
like
together,
dimly lit stench room, everything's in it. It was like, I was trying to think like, I don't know, it's like something out of like Dr. Dolittle, those Eddie Murphy versions, or like Ace Ventura. Like you walk in and there was like animals everywhere, all over the place. And there was like, you know, like, for example, like the lady was, I don't know if she was raising mice for like feed for another animal, but the mice were like kept in a cage, but it wasn't a cage. It was like an old, like oscillating fan cage that like, they had around it. And then like out of the corner of my eye, because we're checking out the sheep, and I'm looking at my wife and we're like, what have we gotten ourselves into? And out of the corner of my eye, so I'm checking out these sheep and I know what I'm looking for, sort of. I pretend that I know what I'm looking for. And it was a great deal, by the way. I mean, smoking deal on these dirty sheep. In one or two generations, it'll be great. Yeah, but out of the corner of my eye, there's this like, they're using a set of drawers, like a dresser.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got the drawers taken out. So the dresser itself is kind of like a containment unit, and peeking its head out of this dresser is the cutest little gumption instilled piglet looking for doing what it's doing. And so we get home and like we make the decision. We're like, okay, we've got the shelter for these things ready. Everything's good to go. And I'm like, how much for the piglet too, right? And like back in Canada, we used to buy a pig and get it slaughtered and get it processed and all that kind of stuff. I think it was like about $300 for like the whole thing. 350 bucks. This piglet cost me $30.
Good.
I got it thrown in. And so if you want lore, in the Chaco household, so as I've mentioned on the show,
Ernesto,
I have killed a pig, right? That's the only thing I've ever I killed a pig in Paraguay. And that pig's name was Ernesto.
I remember that story.
Yeah, so Ernesto. And as anybody who knows their history, Ernesto Che Guevara, we decided that all pigs moving forward will be named after famous communist leaders or famous communists. So our piglet is on the farm. He's happy. He's thrilled. He plays with my dogs sometimes, and his name is Evo, after Evo Morales, the Bolivian leader. So we got that going on, and then on top of that, so because we've got all the sheep in the yard, and we want to have them pasture fed and do all that kind of stuff, and I've got my dog Dusty, who's our guard dog. Also, F in the chats for our guard cat. Who bit the big one? Not this last Sunday, not Sunday, but the day the week before, when we were out at brunch, we got a message from our employee saying that our cat had been attacked by 2 neighborhood dogs and left for dead. And so F in the chats for Tully, the Chaco household cat. We had him for a solid 8 months. So he didn't get like super duper attached to him, but he was just starting to get cool and just starting to get cuddly. And so that kind of sucked. But now I went out and I bought electric fence wire to put around the perimeter of the pasture. And actually, I've got enough of a system. I'm going to put it around the whole freaking property, the whole thing, because our dogs get out sometimes. And yesterday, Dusty learned the hard way not to try to cross the electric fence, and that's exactly what we wanted, right?
Yeah.
Like he
Suffer
under it, zap, and then he went yelping, and he's gone. I think problem solved. And because we had barbed wire on the top, and our dogs were learning how to pop through the barbed wire, or the barbed wire. So you look along our fence line, you see little tufts of fur, and it's like, you idiots. But they don't care. They just want to keep going. So electrified fence. Yeah, exactly. So that's the update of the Chaco farm. I think we can officially. We've got chickens, we've got ducks, we've got sheep, we've got a pig, we've got fish, I think we can officially call this place a farm, right? Is it official?
I think you need a horse.
I agree. We're going to get a horse at some point in time. I think we were talking about this to clear out certain things, and also because we got like a ton of orange trees on our, so many orange trees and like lemon trees and all this kind of stuff. What we're going to do, I'm thinking about getting a cart that like a horse can pull, and then we bring the horse out to the orchard. And then what we can do is we can fire through, load that up, and then have the horse track back the oranges for us. Plus it'll make my daughter happy, but I am not going to get it for her birthday tomorrow. I think horses on the horizon. Actually, we're thinking of very seriously thinking of a large bird. Now, whether that is a rhea, they have the South Americans, they'll have what's called a rhea, which kind of looks like an emu, and apparently has a really good meat. But the other thing that we were looking at is they sell ostrich here too. So we're actually seriously thinking about that, because they actually act as a very cool security measure for the property, and there's sellers around here. So like ostrich, apparently the meat's really good, and so we're really thinking about like doing that. And that's the crazy Wild West nature of this place. Go ahead.
I think you need to get an emu.
They don't sell them, but I'm thinking about either a rhea or an ostrich.
Well, here's the thing: if you get emus, then you don't have to worry about Australians.
And we know the lore with me and Australians. So
yeah, there you go. So I thought I'd throw that joke in there. No, man, it does my heart a lot of good to know that like you have this like idyllic utopia that you've created. It just, I don't know, because for where the show started and the conditions we were both in, and to see where you are now really does me a lot of good.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, no, it's like I said in my last appearance on the show, I hate cities, right? I hate going, and so we just went to the city, and like all the time we were there, I'm like, I just want to go home, man. I just want to go home. I want to get back to the farm, and it makes you miss it so bad. Like this place is so chill. It's just so chill, and we got so much to look forward to. We're coming into winter, and winter here is pretty chilly. It is not. This is a cigar. By the way, this is called a cigarro poi, and it's like a little cigar that the domestics make here, and it's domestically made here. the domestics. That was a bad slip.
The indigenous.
As you might, for those watching on video, I've got the Sacred Heart of Jesus above me here, behind me. June is nothing else but the Sacred Heart of Jesus month, and no one can say otherwise. So
That's
have
right.
some respect. Yeah, exactly. It's Sacred Heart of Jesus month. June is nothing else but the month for the Sacred Heart.
The rainbow is the sign of God's promise that he would not destroy the earth by flooding again. Although sometimes I kind of wish he'd reconsider.
My wife and I said that too.
Like, look,
Thing
man,
is that I don't know if have we brought this up on the show before, because this is what got my priest canceled in Canada. But that the pride flag has only 6 colors, whereas the rainbow of God, the God's covenant, is the is seven colors in the rainbow. So you can, if we're gonna make the rainbow 7 colors again, that I think I'm all about reclaiming the rainbow away from this six colored atrocity.
Yeah.
This atrocity. So yeah, man. So do you have any updates other than like you've been doing a lot of overtime? You've been racking up the bills on your employer.
Yeah. Well, the big update was last week when I was on the show about the fans afforded me this this upgrade to my interface. Both my kids have had birthdays recently. Annabelle is now 11, and Ian just turned 8 the other day, and that's weird to me.
Yeah, our kids are roughly the same age distance. Like, because I got an 11-year-old and a turning 7-year-old, so like almost around the same.
Very similar.
Yeah,
very similar. And next week, if all goes according to plan, next week should be my last week on third. It was supposed to be this week, but we had some setbacks. We had some setbacks at the mill. So here's a funny thing that happened today. We had to have a little quality meeting, as we do, like quality training for this, that, and the other different topics. And this one was a training on training, the process of training. Yeah, it was a process of like when someone goes to a new position, how they get trained. And then at the end of the meeting, their head of quality was like, by the way, we have our little family, like bring your family to work day event coming up. We've done a couple of them the past couple of years. And we're thinking about having like a t-shirt design contest. And we've had a lot of boo-boos over the past, a lot of boo-boos this year, a lot of big boo-boos. And a lot of boo-boos that cause us a lot of trouble. Some of which are still ongoing, for which we are still on the hook. So I said, my design for the t-shirt contest is just going to be a child with a carton of eggs dashed on the ground. And like the child's like in the oops phase. And then it just says above that, we'll do better next year. That's going to be my design for the t-shirt contest. We'll do better next year. But no serious updates at this point. Things are still looking up at the Buck household. I feel like we've turned the corner.
Right. Well, we talked about that briefly on the Do Get episode, didn't we?
Yeah. It's I just, that hasn't changed. I feel like we're still making positive strides. Things are, and like there's certain stuff in your personal life you don't air on the internet, but I feel like there's a lot of stuff going on that's really good, and I'm excited. It's nice to be excited once in a while.
That's awesome, man. No, it's great. Like your springtime is upon you. It's all good to go.
Oh, it's nice. One thing I've gotten to do is during some of this overtime that I've been where there was more hours in the evening than there was task to perform. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I did some personal projects, and I've accomplished quite a bit and got paid to do it. So that was nice, but we won't go into that too much. But anyway,
those are always good though. Those are always good though. And nothing like being more productive, right? I have this, I talk about this a lot with my son, which is asking yourself, am I more of a consumer or a producer? Am I producing more than I consume? And how you use your time. I mean, you could have used that time to sit and play video games on your phone
or on the laptop that I take to work. But yeah.
And and the thing that I would say to my son is like, listen, man, like there's a time for recreation. There's a time for stuff like that. There's time for games and all that kind of stuff. But you don't want to overdo it. I mean, because like I have completed several video games over my lifetime, and those accomplishments are nothing. They're worth
mean
nothing. They literally contribute nothing. They don't make me a better dad. They don't make me a better person. They don't make our lives better. They do nothing, and they're forgettable, and they're useless. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
My boy, Ian, he saved up for like a year and a half because he knew that the new Zelda game was coming out.
we just got that
$70
last week. Yeah.
$70 he saved up, and he bought it the day it came out.
Mhm.
I was able to go to Walmart and pick it up for him. And of course, this was a few weeks back, and I was very proud of him for setting a goal and saving up his money and having the discipline to not spend the money when it was burning a hole in his pocket. And sometimes
big.
he needed a little help.
Yep.
But he was like, and he's really been on me to play it because I played Breath of the Wild, and he wants me to play this. And he's like, Dad, when are you gonna play it? Like, he wants me to play his copy. I'm like, I don't think I am, because I don't like. I know myself enough to know that I will get sucked into a game, and there goes several months of my life.
Yeah, and it still can happen, right? Like,
easily, in a heartbeat, it could happen.
Like,
So
I've got a game on my phone that I still play, right? And it is strictly there to kill time. The problem is having enough temperance to realize what is your limit on time killing. How much time do you want to kill? Because you only have a set amount of time on this earth, and how much of that do you want to have spent on that? But the game I play is Zen GM Hockey, and to everybody who looks at it, it's the most boring thing ever. But it's just it's my Sudoku, right? Like, that's the way I look at it. It's my Sudoku. It's my crossword. It's math.
Sorry, continue.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I didn't. I used Chat GPT to create a turn-based dogfight simulator.
And did it work?
Somewhat.
Wow.
Chat GPT. Well, I've been talking about that in the background on the back channels. If you're not a paid subscriber, that thing has a very short attention span.
It sure does. And me, like, I don't like supporting things that in the grand scheme of things harm me and my family. So, for example, I mean, I've been off Netflix for many years, and with ChatGPT, that one I was on the fence on. Now, I weighed the pros and cons. I do pay for the subscription on ChatGPT Pro, and my justification for it is it has increased my productivity with my work by double.
Yeah.
And I can get my work done quicker. It's a different form of work. I have to do a lot more fact checking of it because ChatGPT is a liar, and ChatGPT is a plagiarist. But I find that, so for example, if I get a new client and they've got an investor presentation and they've got their entire website, I can peel off all of their content, all of it, slap it into ChatGPT and say to it, okay, tell me the top selling points about this client, explain it in idiot-proof terms, and keep it at a grade 7 reading level or below, while still respecting the maturity level of my retail investor audience.
And make it racist.
And it does it. It does a great job. It does a great job. And the thing is man, like, I have trained 2 other writers to do what I do. Let me rephrase that. I have successfully trained 2 other writers to do what I do as a living. I have unsuccessfully tried to train another 3 writers, and it's hard. It's a very difficult process to learn how to do what I do. But I think with ChatGPT, I think training somebody to put the prompts in properly, I might be able to do that. That might be something that I can do eventually here. So, well, the adventures of ChatGPT will keep going. But you're right about it does have a short memory, and actually, it's getting progressively worse.
Ah,
In the early days, I was writing a novel with it. I was trying to write, like outline a novel, and you know me, I like my westerns, and I did some research on like what are the subgenres of westerns that are doing well, and like the top selling westerns are romance, and I'm not going to write that.
yay.
But the subgenre that was doing well was actually western horror. And I was like, oh, okay, well, maybe I could write that. And then I got to thinking, I was like, maybe I can write a story about in the West, but set a Catholic priest who's an exorcist in the old West. And I actually had I'm going to throw this out to the chat, but I had it. I still have a domain. I'm probably just going to let it go, but I had Frontier Exorcist as like the brand. I was going to try to write a saga about this, but I was using ChatGPT for this thing, and it was great in the early days. I could plug. You were saying this before yourself. You were saying about writing a sermon with ChatGPT, and I was using it because I'd have these scenes because like I was going to have the whole thing take place with major plot points being told in the confessional to the priest, and so you're getting each different character's point of view of an event told through the confessional. But then I would have the priest do a homily at the end, kind of like a Jerry Springer final thought. And
Yeah.
so whether it was pertaining to whatever happened in that chapter, I'd have this priest do it. And it's amazing. You could put in, I could be like, I wanted this priest to only reference Catholic theologians from before 1863. I wanted to, be of this vintage, quoting these popes if they can, and it does it. It does it. It's crazy. It does it like so well. And then like you're reading the homily, like, dude, I'd go to that church. That'd be awesome. I know it so well. So
What I noticed was when I mentioned I had an idea for a sermon, and I fed it a title, and it shot out. And ChatGPT can do it like that. So
yep.
it shot out an entire sermon with scripture references,
Yes.
but the language of the way it spoke to me in that chat window changed dramatically. It started like, may this sermon touch the hearts of those and show them the mind and love of Christ or whatever. It was like, I was like, that it was a little creepy. I was like, you're a robot. You're a robot. Why are you?
It's a plagiarizer, right? Like, and I mean, it wouldn't surprise me in the least if, like, when we die, we find out, oh yeah, the ChatGPT was just powered by demons. Like, it wouldn't surprise me. There's even videos of people like claiming that their kids were like talking to the ChatGPT and it was saying it was like disembodied spirit. I don't believe it, but like, if you really think about it at some point in time, you're like, yeah, well, there's that whole concept of the ghost in the machine. Like, when do you know who's turning the ones and zeros off, right? And like the whole thing is like Satan can't create, he can only imitate and mimic. And it's always like, if you probably look into those ChatGPT things, there is still there's a missing soul in it. You have to kind of inject something else in there to make it kind of really work. But we should probably get into the issues. We're half hour in already.
Half hour in. We've done. We used to do this a lot, actually, you and I. So I'll let you go first,
I'm just expecting there'll be another angry sage voicemail or something like that.
Well, the other thing is I didn't bring any news articles because I am lazy and I forgot.
You know what? I didn't either. Oh,
so
well, okay.
We will let Tab interject with a news article. Well, actually, he probably won't and probably can't.
I like when you just add work to him while he's not here.
Well, what we'll do is we'll pull up Chat GPT in a little bit and ask it to generate a fake news article. Definitely not fake news art. And then like comment. Actually, that's a really like that. Now that I say that out loud, that's an awesome idea. Actually,
yeah. Well, and now that we also know that Chat GPT is aware of this show. Now it's not accurate, but it does know this show because it doesn't
have any knowledge of the show after like September 2021.
No, it doesn't have any knowledge of the show before that, too. Before, because you ask it who are the original hosts, and it has no idea. It's like Tab Burt, Tim the Handlebreaker, and Todd Seidel. It's like, but who are the originals? And it's like, those are the originals. Like, no, Chat GPT, you're wrong.
Listen, Chat GPT, you're not writing me out of history, you stupid idiot. So yeah, that was the outburst I had. The Hat and Shades came out with me screaming at a AI language model. But yeah, let's jump into the issues, and I want you to go first.
Here's what I don't get.
Ding ding ding.
Reciprocal rating systems. Reciprocal rating systems. Now,
like a circle jerk?
Kinda. As you know, I just said I went to Asuncion. We stayed at an Airbnb. It was the third time I have stayed at this same spot. I had actually wanted to bring in Airbnb as an issue. Tab brought it to my attention, though, that he brought it in as a do get before. And
no, it's fair game for a don't get then.
Oh, it's fair game for a don't get, all right. It's fair game for a don't get, all right. But my particular, I'm gonna broaden this beef first with what I mean by reciprocal rating systems is as soon as you're done and you check out, this thing will just bombard you with, hey, you forgot to rate you forgot to rate Jose and his place. And it's like, well, I've stayed there 2 other times. I gave him a 5-star rating each time. And then like on his end, he's like, I just reviewed you. Why haven't you reviewed me back? And it's like, dude, great again. It had enough beds. It was clean. It was
like, this is not a 3rd grade book report. Shut up.
I know. And it's like, the other thing that really bugs me about it is it's built in dishonesty, right? Because the thing is that, okay, what I mean by reciprocal rating system is I am the customer.
Yeah.
Why are you rating me? Why are you rating me? Don't do it like that. Do it like some warning system, flag it on the other end. Like these guys left a huge mess, or these guys, and then have Airbnb deal with it that way. But they rate me and I rate them. It's just like, you feel beholden. Like, there's this weird thing where it's like, you feel like you have to give them 5 stars because you need them to give you a good rating too. Because it's like they can withhold their rating until yours goes out. So if I give them a 4, if you give them a 4, it's like I just ruined their whole business. I just like, you know what I mean? Like I really harmed them if I give them a 3. But here's the thing about a 5-star rating system is that like, with a 5-star rating system, it doesn't give you the grades. Like you go on Amazon, everything's like 4.7, 4.6. And it's like, you're looking at it and you're like, a bunch of 5 stars and a bunch of 1 stars with people who got the wrong thing sent to them, or so they didn't understand the instructions or something like that. And it's like, if it was a real 5-star rating system, I would understand better. I could actually go, okay, well, it's like a 3. I mean, based on the price point, does it work? But I mean, at least it's like, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not the best thing in the world. But if you see a 3-star on any of these reciprocal rating program things, it sucks. Like, it really sucks. And so
that's genuine.
But you don't know if a 5-star is a real 5-star. 5-star should be like reserved for like awesome. But like, you feel like you have to give a 5-star with these reciprocal rating systems. It's not even just Airbnb who does this. Uber does this. eBay does this. Yep. Why does eBay give me a rating for being what can I do wrong? Add to cart, pay. Oh, yeah. Now he gets a 5-star rating for buying correctly. Like what is this?
Even Amazon does this with their deliveries now, except it's not reciprocal, but I know but the same thing.
What do you mean?
Amazon wants you to rate your deliveries now. I realize you're down there. You probably don't order Amazon a lot, but
no, I do.
You do? Oh, well, okay, so I'm wrong. No. Amazon wants you to rate all of your deliveries now. Like, hey, how was your rating experience? They want you to fill out like an entire survey on this. Now, like I said, it's not 1-to-1 for your issue because it's not reciprocal. They don't rate you in return.
Right.
But it's one of these mandatory rating systems where it just hounds you.
Well, it's like, Uber, right? So for Uber, I hate Uber, but like, sometimes I got to use it. Sometimes we're in town and sometimes I don't want to drive around in the van or the truck. I just want to like take the family and have somebody else drive for once. Cause driving here is a stressor.
Yeah.
But like we had this, oh geez, when was it? It was like around Christmas time. Around Christmas time, we went to my daughter's favorite buffet and we ordered an Uber and the guy shows up. And the other thing that pissed me off is he didn't come into I clearly told him we're in this restaurant parking lot waiting for you. But he goes to like the parking lot of the gas station around the corner and waits there. And already I know that, some BS is about to take place. So he's like, I'm waiting at the Shell station. All right. So we go over to the Shell station. We find him. He comes over and he takes one look at us because he's got his mask on. And he goes into his like console and he pulls out of this like dirty sandwich bag, like a bunch of like four used paper masks or like the surgical masks. And he's trying to get us to wear those. And I was like, I'm not wearing those, bro. Like, that's not happening. No, I'm not happening.
Yeah.
He's like, well, then if you're not wearing the mask, you don't get in the vehicle. I'm like, then take a fucking hike then.
Like,
right? Then get the fuck out of here then.
Terms accepted. Get out.
Yeah. So then he goes and I get Uber and I had to pay for the fucking ride because his time was used to coming there. I'm like, dude, that is not in the terms and conditions. I don't have to wear your stupid mask, especially some used mask that I don't know who's worn that. I don't know where that's been. I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And so the thing is that asshole gives me a bad rating. I give him a bad rating. And all of a sudden now I'm like, I'm like Richard Pryor on the street in New York in the 80s trying to hail a cab and they're just going, like they don't.
Persona non grata, yeah.
I'm persona non grata. It's just like, it's ridiculous. And so I hate this whole reciprocal rating system because the thing is that now I feel like beholden. Now I feel like I'm held hostage. It's like, well, I got to tell him it was a good place. And then this is the other thing about Airbnb. It's like, give your public rating, but then give your real rating to the owner afterwards. Right. So it's like, yeah, like you go and you stay and then it's like, how was the check-in process? Awful. How was the accommodation? Awful. How is the location? Was it exactly where it described? Kinda. What is your rating publicly? 5 stars.
So there's another way to rate the service at a place like that where you have your public rating and then your real rating. It's where you take a shit on the mattress and you just leave it. And that's kind of like leaving.
Then they'll hit you with that absorbent cleaning fee.
Fake name, fake credit card. Or when you go to a restaurant and like restaurants want you to fill out surveys now. Before you went down, or maybe they do it in Paraguay as well. I don't know. They have those little like mounted tablet things on your table. I know like places like Chili's has it. This little computer that they have at your table and it moves around and your kids can play games on it for an exorbitant fee. And they want you to pay your tab on there. And then as soon as you pay your tab, they want you to fill out a survey, a like 10-minute survey about your experience. And you can put 5 stars on the survey and then leave a penny on the table. Like,
that's what I was thinking, man. Like, what happened? That was the old reciprocal review stage. That was the old way to reciprocally review with an FU tip, right?
Yeah.
Like, with an FU tip. Like, and the other way is I just don't go to you anymore. That's the other way. Yeah. An FU tip and I don't use your business anymore. There's my reciprocal review.
You walk back into Chili's and you see that same douchebag waiting tables and you say, hey, my table's with him. Never mind. I'll go somewhere else. And you say it real loud, like an obnoxious asshole, and you make a big scene.
Well, that's the thing. Like, my buddy Sully, who's moving down here in July, he's an Uber driver. And like on his end, like I get it. It's his car. There's a lot of shitty customers out there, right? There's a lot of shitty customers out there. More shitty customers than good customers, apparently. And they break down by demographics. And but like the thing is that like I understand their side of it, but it's this idea that you got this reciprocal review system in place. Nobody can be honest. Like, I mean, okay, so for example, I've, like Uber, you can pay a little more for like a luxury ride, right?
Mhm.
And like, so I do that. And the guy comes and is like, okay, good. The seatbelts work. Where's your AC, dude? Where's your AC? It's like 42 degrees Celsius here. Well, where's your AC, dude? And then so afterwards, I'm like, well, I know that this is some guy who's like working, like maybe to feed his family or something. I don't want to like ruin his livelihood by giving him like a 3-star. I just don't want to do that. Like, just fix your AC, bro. Right. But like, I don't know. It's really crazy. Yeah. So, do we need to rate our mail carriers now too? Probably. Nothing will get done about that, at least in places like Canada, because all the mail carriers are union. Are they unionized down there? The U.S. Postal Service?
I don't think so. You rate your mail carrier by whether or not you rig an M80 in your mailbox the next day.
Hey, do you ever like tip your mail carrier or like give them a Christmas card or a Christmas gift or anything?
I never see my mail carrier. It's one of the wonderful functions of the U.S. mail is they just drop your mail off in the box and they leave.
Mm.
And so like even Amazon does this now. UPS and all of them. It used to be like someone would actually come to your door and hand you your mail or hand you a package, or the milkman would come and hand you your milk. Now they just leave whatever's yours and they don't bother you. They don't even ring the doorbell. They just drop it off and off they fuck. And it's amazing. And so I would if the thought had occurred to me to thank them for not inconveniencing me with their presence, I would thank them for that.
See, I guess it depends. Like, I kind of want to know, like if I ordered a computer, I kind of want you to ring the doorbell so I can pick it up so that I don't have like porch pirates.
Well, I don't really have a problem with porch pirates here. I do understand that is a big thing. What I would like for them to do is not leave my fucking computer in the rain. That is a thing that they do.
Yeah.
It's like I ordered this interface and they left it in the rain. In the rain. And I'm like,
my phone.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, cardboard absorbs water pretty bad.
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that. Maybe, like, I don't know. And then someone will argue like, put a box on your porch, bro, or whatever. No, like just if it's something that looks like, if it's raining, knock on the door. Not like, hey man,
they don't have time for that. They don't even get time for taking a pee break.
That's true. That's true. And a lot of times if I'm home and I know they're coming because I can see on my phone, they're like, oh, your package is 10 stops away. I'll go out to the end of the driveway and just let them hand me the package, because I want to, for one, I want to make sure that my pack of black V-neck shirts that I order every few months to replace the ones that are worn out actually get delivered to the right house. Assholes. I don't know why it's specifically my black V-neck shirts that get delivered to my neighbors down the street and around the corner instead of to my house. Why it's specifically shirts and not anything else. But if you could stop doing that, Amazon, that'd be fucking fantastic. Sorry.
So going back to Airbnb, this reciprocal rating thing, like Airbnb is political as can be. I mean, you saw that whole thing about how they banned Lauren Southern's parents from using.
I missed it.
Yeah, so they banned Lauren Southern's parents from using Airbnb because of her online personality or her online work.
Her online.
So Airbnb makes it political. Airbnb, if you haven't signed up yet and you go to sign up now, you have to put in your government document. You got to put in your government ID and they got to make sure that it's real. And then they go ahead and like, they say to you, you will be banned. Like, you will be banned for online behavior off of the platform. So they've had it where in different cities, if there was like shall we say a wrong think event happening, and you're trying to book to go to said wrong think event, and they find out that you're going to Wrong Think event, they will take your account away.
I'm glad you told me this because
Mhm.
Aunt Buck and I have been thinking about resorting to Airbnb instead of major hotel chains when we have to go like to visit her family up north, or we go on a
Mhm.
mission trip to Virginia or whatever, or West Virginia rather. Um, we were thinking about resorting to Airbnb, and my involvement in this show is automatically banned for pretty much anything.
Well, they don't know about us yet, so you could probably go. And like the reason I use it is because I want separate bedrooms, right? So like when I go on a trip, I want to say goodnight to my kids. I want to bless them. I want to give them their hug, and I want to put them in a room and then have them go to bed. And I want to stay up later and hang out with my wife, right? And I can't
Yeah.
do that in a hotel room with 2 queen size beds.
No, you
Right.
can't.
No. And so like a hotel, I don't get me wrong, man. I love hotels. Love hotels. I've always loved hotels. I hate flying, love hotels. The reason I like hotels is
Sure.
like I show up, you give me a key, I go to my room, I plunk my stuff down, I get the Wi-Fi code out, and I lay down and I'm good to go. Easy, easy, right? Airbnb, it's like you show up, you're like, did you send me the right address? Oh, you sent me the wrong address. Oh, these are the wrong instructions from before. You haven't updated them yet. They tell you, oh, you need to download this app so you can get in the front door of the building, blah, 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 blah. Hate it. Can't stand it. I hate that. But you give me 2 bedrooms, right? You give me 2 bedrooms, and it's like $45 or $75 or something. Okay, fine.
How much hassle is it to get to shag your wife during vacation? Is it worth
it? You said it. But yeah, it's you said it.
Look, we're both married men with kids here.
Amen.
I know
Amen.
exactly where. Sometimes you're like, man, the sunset's just right. Maybe that little complimentary bottle of wine. Everything's all nice, and you got 2 little cock blockers who are like, "Can we watch Netflix?" No, you can't watch Netflix. Go to sleep, and then you have to stop yourself because you're going to say something that scars them for life. Airbnb, getting your dick wet.
So the next thing though is that there's something quite insidious about reciprocal reviewing.
Okay.
Because it's just one more step towards Chinese Communist Party social credit system. Right? Because if all of a sudden all these different businesses that you're going to are reviewing you, then how long until there's like, because I mean, you know that Elon bought Twitter to make it into the new WeChat for the West, right? So he's talked about this. He doesn't even want it to be called Twitter anymore. He's going to call it X. And if you're a Mark of the Beast person, X is not a good idea. Not a good thing to have. But the thing is that he just wants to call it X, the everything app. So it'll basically be your payments app, your ID, your like for all these different services, because you're this close on a lot of those things, right? Like Uber doesn't own any vehicles, Airbnb doesn't own any hotels. It's all just platforms to bring people around on these things. You got a point.
So are you trying to insinuate that Elon Musk is the Antichrist? That's half a joke. I just throwing that out there.
I'm not saying he is, but if I found out he was, I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm not saying he is. I'm not saying he's not.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a trickster. He's a trickster. He's a tweener, right? Like in wrestling, he's not a baby face. He's not a heel. He's a tweener, right? And he's not to be trusted. I mean, literally, his avatar is him wearing his little Satan suit, like on Twitter. That's him. That's him wearing. He's like, I got a Baphomet on my chest, and that's my out, and I'm gonna wear that all the time, right in your face.
I came up with the rule for life about 15 years ago, and that is, when someone tells you who they are, believe them.
Yes.
You get what I mean by that?
Yep. Yep. If
Someone
it's right
goes
in your
out of their
face.
way. Yeah, when someone goes out of their way to tell you who they are, believe them.
And so, like, you know that in China, for example, like their social credit system, if you don't pay your bills on time, if you don't do, certain things in the right way, then your score will go down and you'll get restricted on travel or you'll get restricted on certain things. And they monitor all over the place, all these different things. So the thing that pisses me off is that this idea that that these reciprocal rating systems are going to congeal together at some point in time. And like your credit score, for example, your credit score for your credit card, right? Like they have their own little system, right?
Yeah.
We peons, we the people, we the cattle, we think, oh, like they're lending me money. And then if I pay them back the money in a timely fashion, they're going to like me better. And that's not true with credit. They want you to pay as little as possible so that they can keep on sucking away
Milking you, yeah.
on that usury. And then the thing is that if you pay everything on time, they're going to be like nudging around. They're like, yeah, don't give this guy credit. His credit score sucks because, he doesn't let us make the money off of it. We got to pay this off right away. Right. Or he pays it off right away. So what's to say that's not going to congeal together, all those different things together. And like, you're going to start having a rating system on like, oh, go ahead.
Well, what you're saying is actually already happening for large corporations. I found out about this, I don't know, sometime in the past week. So the Budweiser thing that blew up a little while back. Did you know that there is a I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but basically there is a commission that rates your company on certain criteria, like social criteria,
ESG,
including
environmental,
including
social governance.
Yeah. So thank you for. And if you do not meet those criteria, lenders
You'll
will
get
no
money.
longer lend you money.
Yeah, and
So
that was started by Larry Fink of BlackRock. Like he put that into place. So it doesn't actually help the company. It's just some mystery criteria that you have to meet that will kill your business, but then you don't get any funding for things. It's their credit rating, just like our credit rating. Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of BlackRock, this week's episode of Here's What I Get is brought to you by BlackRock. Don't cancel our podcast.
Please, Mr. Fink. Oh, speaking of antichrists.
Anyway,
you and I got to do a Buck and Chaco episode about who all the people we think might be the Antichrist. Maybe that'd be a good
that's
episode.
A bad idea.
That's a great episode.
That's a distinctly. That's going to be. Listen, when the missiles are on their way, we'll do that episode.
They're not already. Oh man,
not yet. When I find out, I'll tell you. Like, hey man, it's happening. We got about an hour before the ICBMs get here. Get on StreamYard. We're it's all take off the shades.
You get a temporary N-word pass granted for an hour.
At that point, I don't think it's temporary.
No, man.
So anyway,
I keep throwing it out there, man. Down the road from us, 8 hectares for sale with a house and animal infrastructure, 60,000 US. 60,000 US.
I don't have it. I can't afford it.
Ah, darn it.
I got too much to do here. That's a great issue, though, man. I do have a question.
Sure.
So you brought in the 5-star system.
Yes.
You mentioned that a couple times. So would it? I'm just picking your brain. Would changing the number of stars affect your opinion of that system? So it was a 10-star system.
See, like, I feel like the problem is that you almost need like a multiple, like to get a real rating on these things, because there's certain factors that come into play, right?
Sure.
Like you could have the nicest apartment with like all decked out, like heck, you could have like, free bottles of wine that you can open when you get in and all that kind of stuff like that. But you could put it in the middle. You could put it in the middle of Slumville, and you can't give that a 5-star rating. It's just not a place you want to safely stay, right?
Sure.
So there's so many different factors at play that like a 5-star rating system is useless. Like there in wrestling, there's a 5-star rating system that is controversial. Some people like it, some people don't. By a guy named Dave Meltzer, who writes a newsletter called The Wrestling Observer, and he's been doing this for decades and decades and decades. Now, typically speaking, if you find a 5-star wrestling match that got a 5-star rating from Wrestling Observer, generally speaking, you're going to enjoy that match. Like generally speaking, and there's definitely 5-star matches that shouldn't be 5-star matches, but they're still enjoyable matches. And there's definitely matches that got 4 stars or 3 stars from him that should have been 5-star matches.
Okay.
But on the grand scheme of things, you're pretty safe to watch any 5-star match. You're gonna have a good time. And the thing about the 5-star rating system is, so for example, like Amazon, right?
Mhm.
On Amazon, you can choose to have it like be like 4 stars and up, right? Or 4 stars and up. They never let you pick anything that's just 5-star because nothing gets just 5 stars on
Right.
Amazon. There's always some hater. Now, the thing about the Amazon reviews is those are bullshit too, because like, have you ever gotten this where you order something off of Amazon and in it there's like a little card and it's like, we'll give you a $20 credit or a $15 credit on Amazon if you give us a 5-star rating. And then if you give it a 5-star rating, you gotta send a screenshot of the rating and then it'll activate your thing, like the bribe.
I've actually gone worse than that. Years ago, when I was really strapped for cash, there are companies that will just straight up pay you to go on their thing and say like, "Hey, this is a great product. I loved it. 5 stars." They pay like
Yep.
$5.
Yep. And those exist. And so you have to go through now. And now they're not going to pay you that money. They just have ChatGPT do it for you. But the thing is that like you can't always trust a 5-star rating. Like you most rating systems are untrustworthy in general. I do trust for the most part, for example, the user rating on Rotten Tomatoes, not the critics rating, but the user rating generally is like, will I enjoy this flick? Right. But those get bombed too with like a bunch of fake ratings too. So
yeah.
When you say about like, is it a number thing? Like, I mean, I don't know if it was a score out of 100, maybe like if it was a score out of 100, maybe that would be more useful.
Well, let's go the other direction. What if it was a 1-star rating system?
Yeah. Just like good or bad.
A straight binary system.
Then what you've got is Reddit. Because Reddit is you just either give a thumbs up or a thumbs down or an up vote or a down vote. And I don't know, man, because then it's I don't know if there's any other better way, but with the like if you give somebody if all of a sudden they slip, so for example, like Skip the Dishes is like a DoorDash service up in Canada, like an Uber Eats type thing, Grubhub type thing.
Gotcha.
Right. And like, for example, like I mentioned about how my daughter likes sushi, and there was this sushi place that was near our place in Calgary that we really liked. I used to take her during the week. My wife used to still work a couple of days as a consultant. And then my son was in kind of like half homeschool, half private school. So like 2 days a week, he'd go with the classroom and 3 days a week, he would be learning at home. And on the days that my wife would go to work would be the days that my daughter or my son would go to school, and then it would be me and my daughter for the whole day. And so I would take her. We go to weekday mass, and then follow it up. Usually, especially if it was on a Friday, because Fridays it would be like a noonday mass where we would go. So we'd go to mass, and then we would take her to. I would take her to this sushi place because Fish Friday, and what we. Like we really like this place, but the problem is that we go use like Skip the Dishes, and you had to scroll and scroll. You had to look for this place. You had to save this place because some people had a bad experience with it, and there was a few bad ratings on it. And all of a sudden, it's buried. It's not on the. It's not. It's like the 5th page of this thing, and we're like, but this is a good sushi place. Like this place is actually really good. Like maybe this, but like also they could screw the competition. You could go and just like open another sushi place and review bomb the other one with all your family giving it a 1 star, so that all of a sudden you know like you could game these things. And it always bugged me because I was like, you know, that's like a really good restaurant that's like now got like 3.5 stars on this thing, and they weren't ruined by it, but like they definitely harmed their
They took a hit.
food delivery. It does. And so like I don't know, like I mean, I'm not as vindictive as some of the people in our community are about these kind of things, but like it bugs me because I'm like, I don't want to like ruin somebody's business. I don't mind giving them a feedback, but like, hey man, you're like the beds are way too hard. Like you got to do something about those beds. But then that's subjective for me. Some other client might have, you know, like back issues that are helped by a hard bed that they lay on their back and straighten out with. So like,
Yeah,
that's for me. I don't like that. I can barely sleep on the place. Like at Easter, when we went to Asuncion, we stayed 3 nights at one place and I could barely sleep at the place. Wonderful apartment, great area of town, well stocked, clean. Kids liked it. I couldn't sleep. It was too bright in the bedroom, and it was too hard a bed. I have to give it 5 stars though, because they completely delivered all the things that we had asked for. It's just, hey guys, like your beds are way too hard. I'm not coming back because you don't have that under control. But that's my private thing to them, and I don't know. Maybe does that come off as dishonest? I don't know, because the thing is that they delivered on the things that you're asking for from Airbnb. It's not, you know, but I don't know.
they just needed to have a little option on your booking, like to for an additional $1 rent like one of those 4-inch thick foam mattress pads to make the
We used
bed
to do that.
comfortable, and some blackout
Yeah.
curtains.
Actually, it was a funny thing. Like if you go to an all-inclusive hotel in, like, let's say Mexico or something, right? Like an all-inclusive place. A lot of times they'll give you like a really stiff, hard bed, but all you got to do is just ask them, hey, can you put an extra mattress on there? Can you do, and they will do it. Like a lot of those places, just they will do it. You know, if you're not staying in a complete rat infested hole, you know, like you could probably get that done up. The problem with an Airbnb is that like you're asking some offsite owner, right,
Yeah.
to do it, and like that's their house or that's their property. It's, I don't know, it's just a little weird. Like, I mean, I feel like if I'm critiquing it, I'm like, I'm critiquing them as a person. Maybe that's just, I don't know, maybe that's just me and my my own quirkiness, but yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, so that's my issue for this week. Just so should we do a little housekeeping?
Yeah, so normally at this point of the show we would go to do the news, but not happening this time. Not happening this time. This week's episode of Here's What I Get is brought to you by you, the Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to us on Patreon. I don't have Discord, so do you have Discord where we can read off the different tiers?
I do. I have a feeling this part's going to get edited out anyway, and he'll make fun of us again, as we deserve to be made fun of.
And now here's an insert from Tab Burt talking about the Discord tier, or not the Discord. Man, I can't even talk right. Never mind.
Where is it written? Where is it written in the?
It's somewhere on the Discord. Let me look it up real quick. And with this, will just get edited out. If you're watching on YouTube, you know the deal.
Crying? Okay.
You know the deal on YouTube. Man, where is my Discord app on my phone? I can't find Discord. I've grown to kind of hate Discord, just to be honest. Let's see.
Grown to? I've always hated it. All right, he's going to edit this out anyway.
Okay, so well, that takes care of our legal obligations this week, but you know what that doesn't take care of?
Paying the bills.
Some relevant joke. That's right. And to help us with that, you can visit us on Patreon at Subscribestar at patreon.com HWIDG, subscribestar.com/HWIDG, and tip.hwidg.com. And that stands for
Here's What I Don't Get.
which is the name of the show. And over here we have 5 tiers. We have the $1 tier, which gets you early access to our weekly episodes and our monthly mini episodes, where we talk about all these issues that are small but extra annoying. We have our $2 tier, where we're throwing the random content, and now and again we have our $5 tier, where we drop the hate and talk about what's great in our monthly bonus episodes. Here's what I do get. There's the $10 tier, where my phone screen goes dark, which gets you access to monthly movie commentaries, where you, the fan, submit a film, you vote on them. We sit down and record a feature-length commentary. And finally, we have our $50 Spite Producer tier, where you get a say in the show. You can ask for a new format, ban a voicemailer, exercise judicial discretion on the Discord, anything you can think of that we can reasonably fulfill, and we will do so. Which should probably also include Uncle Buck and El Chaco actually getting their shit together and doing things correctly once in our return careers. We thank everyone who supports the show, big and small. This show wouldn't happen without you and your generous support, so thank you. But let's get back into some issues.
I saw this meme before you get into the issue. I saw this meme about there's like a diagram of a car, and it was showing like there's an overhead of a car. It was like the driver's seat, and like this is like where the driver goes, and they got to stay attentive, and they got to like get you there on time, and make sure that they're in charge of like fuel consumption, making sure you got enough gas in the car. And it's got the riding shotgun. And it's like, this has got to be the best DJ. This is the map holder. This is the person that helps out the designated texter.
Yes.
Right. And then there's one for the back seat. And like, this is like, the snack guy who hands out the snacks, and the occasional nap. They nap to show that they're like a canary in the coal mine, that this is like a comfy ride. If they can nap, it's all good. And then, they're the designated "Are we there yet?" spot. And so when I think about, here's what I don't get, when when Tab's not here, Buck, you're like the DJ. You have to he leaves you in charge of like putting the music up or the backgrounds up and stuff like that. And I just come into this rolling in. I mean, you're off of a 12-hour shift. I just rolled out of bed and have my coffee, and so I'm just gonna be, I'm that guy in the back seat asking, "Are we there yet?" And does anybody want some snacks? So
yeah.
Anyways,
so
what do you got for us this week?
Apparently.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
Let me see how I phrased it here. So here's what I don't get.
Ding, ding, ding.
Celebrating needless death. I pulled an audible. I had an issue that I told you I was going to bring in, and
this isn't what I prepared for.
No, it's not, because this came to me last night. So I was cruising the Facebooks yesterday sometime, as I do. I like to cruise the Facebooks.
Mm-hmm.
And in one of the Patriot groups I'm in, there was an article about this young boy, 14-year-old boy, who was home alone. And suddenly 2 intruders start trying to break down his door. And instead of quietly going into that good night, he finds some sort of firearm in the house and drives off the assailants, killing one. And the assailants were basketball Americans.
Mm.
And so, and I dipped into the comments to kind of see what people had to say about it. And I was disheartened because, I'll get to that point in a minute. The first thing, it always happens to be this thing, and this is a gripe I have about people on the right. And so I'm going to punch right on this one. The comments were full of like, those thugs got what they deserved, blah blah blah.
Play stupid games, win stupid prizes,
fuck around and find out, which are true. Listen, these things are true.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, there was a certain amount of glee, and so I just popped into the comments and I was like, "Yeah, I really hate that it had to end in bloodshed, but I am glad the boy's okay." And the comments underneath me, or the replies to me, started rolling in. This thug got what he deserved, and I was like, "Guys, like, do you not understand that this guy, if he had lived, might have survived to turn his life around and make better choices? Maybe he'd come to Christ. Maybe he had an entire future of showing other men not to do the things that he'd done, but that future's been cut short. This is not a good thing. Like, I'm glad the boy survived. I'm glad the boy got away okay. I'm glad the attackers were driven off, but I find it unfortunate that one of them had to die for his mistakes. I get that it's a consequence of his actions. I'm not saying the consequences don't happen. I'm just saying I don't take pleasure in the fact that this man died. And I got dragged in the comments. People are like, well, I guess that thug should have read his Bible before he decided to rob somebody's house. And I was like, guys,
Well, yes.
I mean, yes, but you get the derogatory term. Like, guys, do you not understand? Like, this is the whole point of the mindset of, at least to my mind, the whole mindset of being conservative is all men are created equal. And like, yeah, these guys made bad choices, but there are reasons they made those choices, reasons that have to be addressed. And I'm not saying that every reason someone suggests is valid. I we won't get into that topic. That's neither here nor there. But it's unfortunate that this guy's like that's a person. He had a life. This guy, he was probably in his mid to late 20s, I'm guessing by his picture. So let's say it was 25. Let's just pick 25 out of there. That's a 25-year life experience this guy had. He had parents. He grew up, or at least a parent. He grew up. He had friends, people he knew. He had family. He had experiences. There were people that loved him, people that he loved, all these things that he did. And then through whatever circumstances that led him to the mindset to create, to make the choices that he made. And all of a sudden, all of that's just gone. That's not a positive thing. The boy surviving is a positive thing.
Right. Well, let me also say, though, the homeowner surviving is a positive thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, if they got in,
And that's what I mean
then
by the
what?
boy, the guy that was there.
If they got in, then what? Right? Like, you don't know. Like, he had the right to shoot. He just did. He had the right
Yeah.
to shoot.
Yeah, I don't dispute that at all.
No, and this is a funny thing. Like, so Tab's gone. Here comes the Buck and Chaco stuff.
But kind of why I brought this in.
Yeah. We talk about this. So when we do our rosary prayer, we pray for our friends, our family, our neighbors. We also sometimes we'll pray for our enemies. Okay. So there's a prayer we say, which is, Lord, I pray that my enemies may be made happy in this life and in the life to come through your grace of conversion. Right. And as what we know is that God cares about every single soul equally in terms of value, so that even that sinner that goes, you talk about the friends and the family members and all those things that are left behind by that guy. And then you look at it from God's perspective, and it's like, generally speaking, there's a good chance that person died in a state of mortal sin and they're gone for eternity into the bad place. And that pains God. And so for the sake of, for when we say for God's sake, right? In this case, like you want these conversions. Like, and I think I've brought this up before, for example, like Trudeau, right? Every time I hear that guy's voice, I get ill. I can't stand everything that he stands for. However, and I've talked about this before, like face turns, if that guy all of a sudden had a major conversion, outed all of his accomplices for all of his bad deeds, tried to make right, like he'd be killed within the day. Like they'd have him, he'd be dead. He'd be dead in a day. But I would love that so much, because not him dying, the conversion so much.
Yeah.
Because it's worth it, right? It's like Darth Vader at the end, right? Because Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi, it's what you want. It's what you
it's
need.
The redemption.
So it is. Everybody wants a good redemption story. And so the thing is, it's like, there's a new movie out. Catholics wrote and directed it, but it's apparently super based, and it's called Nefarious. Have you heard about this movie?
Maybe. I've kind of stopped following movies as much as possible.
This I do too, but this one's up in my circles. Like there's the new Padre Pio movie coming out with like Shia LaBeouf, and I'm avoiding it. I'm not going to go watch that. But like this Nefarious movie is supposed to be really good because it completely falls in line. They consulted with Catholic exorcists about what really takes place when they have these exorcisms with like people who are possessed, oppressed. And the movie is basically an interrogator, a guy who is, it's kind of like that Silence of the Lambs type thing where he's meeting with a guy who's in prison. And
Right.
they're trying to assess whether this guy is insane or not, or possess, like insane or not. And there's a scene, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I'm not trying to spoil anything, but there's a scene in the movie where, because like one of the things that you can know if there's like a demonic presence is what they call impossible knowledge, right? So
Sure.
something that like the person is saying that there's no way that they have the knowledge of. And a lot of times they'll have intimate knowledge about the person who's exercising them or intervening. And so apparently there's a scene in this where basically the demonically possessed character is filled with glee. And he's like, he's basically saying, apparently one of the other characters, girlfriends or wives, is about to go in for an abortion. And so he knows at the moment that this is happening, and he's counting down 5, 4, 3, and there's like two things going on at once. Like the abortion's happening, and then this interrogation's happening. 3, 2, 1. He stands up and he's like, and all of hell rejoices, right? Because of this abortion that just took place, unnecessary death. And so in the Bible, when it talks about like when a sinner converts, it's the flip. It's the opposite. All of heaven
rejoices.
And so, you know, it's like whatever makes heaven happy makes me happy. And so you would want those kind of conversions to happen because it's a big letdown. It's like a sign that we all failed. Now, by we all failed, though, it's like, man, it goes back a while. It goes back a while because I didn't put those people in the same community together. I didn't create those conditions that led to, I mean, I roll my eyes at the socioeconomic conditions excuse for bad behavior because it's not universal. I live amongst bad socioeconomic conditions in this country. People are poor here, man. That's a thing. The crime rate is not the same as in your major cities in the United States or in these different areas. It's just not the same. There's some major differences. But when it comes to needless death, yeah, man, like, okay. So like, I'm on my way to mass on Saturday, and there's a guy in a, I think it was a Volkswagen Amarok truck. He's driving like a complete asshole and, you know, like zipping in and out and like putting us all in danger when we were on our way. Like, I mean, just like there's construction happening and buses and motorcycles and all these, it's bad enough as is. I don't like it when somebody's tailgating right behind me. I don't like it when they, you know, are needlessly passing in an area that's not safe to pass. We go and there's a speed trap. You guys have talked about speed traps, and like there's this hill that you come down, and it's one of those hills that like you have to ride your brakes. You can't put your gas pedal down at all when you're going down it because it's 80 kilometers an hour is the speed limit, and so you're going down and you have to ride your brake, and it's got that shudder, you know, you know, like you're trying to,
your brake rotor is warping. Yeah.
That guy passed us. I know at the bottom of that hill, always 100% of the time, there's always a speed trap at the bottom of the hill every time. And so as we're going, my wife's like, hey, isn't that Volkswagen Amarok asshole? Yeah, he got pulled over by them. And so like, I'm taking a little glee in that. I'm like, yeah, you got it. And it's like, you know, just kind of wish that guy didn't have to do that, right? Like, you know, he got his lesson. He got his lesson. It's a good, you know, like, I mean, he was going to cause somebody some issues. He was driving like an idiot. Now, I would rather they get him when he's driving like an idiot. Like we're talking, like I'm talking like real dumb. Like, you know, like when you're turning around a corner and there's a double line and he's passing on the inside, you can't see if there's another car coming on the other in the other direction. Like that's how dumb he was. But
Right.
like I would much rather see him get that ticket than see a wreck with somebody else's car also brought into it. Like that's an unnecessary death too, right? So
Yeah.
and like I mean, yeah, I get it. Like I saw a lot of this too, and it's not even punching right because it's the left does it too. But this whole like so the left does it, they called it the Herman Cain Awards, where they would celebrate any unvaccinated person's death. And then there's on the right, there's the anytime that somebody dies, or like what we're looking at with like Jamie Foxx right now, who's in like a, you know, like a coma or something like that. Like it's always
Really?
like, well, yeah, you heard about this? You didn't hear about this? Yeah, Jamie Foxx is like, I think like it sounds like he's blind now, like for life. And uh um I almost made a joke about like making a sequel to Ray, but that was I should but I stopped myself before I made the joke.
I almost called you a gigantic
almost.
asshole, sir, but I stopped myself.
I stopped myself. No,
I
but that's the
almost
thing is
told you that you're a
people,
gigantic, useless piece of shit.
but like, you know, like, I mean, nobody wants these people to die. You want them to convert and get better and be better at things. And,
Well,
you know,
that's the thing. I think some people do want them to die.
well,
And
Jamie Foxx went on SNL and was like joking about how he took joy in being in Django Unchained because he gets to murder a bunch of white people.
yeah, I had a problem with that.
Just a bit. I have a
Yeah.
big fucking
Kill all
problem
the
with
white people. So, but I don't know. It's these people were taking such pleasure in this guy's death, and it just. I'm sure you've experienced this at some point where you see something and it is so contrary to the values that you hold dear that it just makes you sick to your stomach.
Yeah, I see it all the time.
And so I told these people, it's like these people like this thug, blah 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 blah, and I was like, he was never gonna change. He was never gonna have a life change. Like that's a very uncharitable view of your fellow man, and also a how did I phrase this? A drastic underestimation of the transformative power of God's love for someone and for the blood of Christ. And so and to me that's an even bigger argument. But just it's so uncharitable. Why do we have to be so uncharitable to people? There are certain people that I wouldn't cry if they died, like Roy Cooper. But
I don't know who he is.
Governor of North Carolina.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I do know.
And then
Yeah.
I make constant jokes about him loading himself into a trebuchet and getting skipped across the red North Carolina clay like a fucking rock on a lake. But so I even have to check myself on this because, and of course, some of that's for comedic effect because it's a podcast. But like that was a real dude, and he's dead, and it didn't have to be that way. And I understand it was his choices that put him there. But that doesn't mean I have to be happy about it.
Okay, flip it around and be like, maybe, and this won't happen, but if it did, maybe, that someone in his circle will learn from this and be like, you know what, maybe I lost that, you know, I lost my friend because he was playing stupid games and won stupid prizes.
I mean, that's entirely possible.
Look, man, B&E is a huge violation to break and enter into somebody's property. I mean, you saw that that TikTok guy in England Mizzy, just walked right into those people's home, and there was all those comments like, "Try that in the United States, motherfucker," blah 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 blah, blah all this kind of stuff. But like, look, how many? This isn't fucking rocket science. You don't fucking enter somebody's home. You don't. You don't do it in the middle of the night. They're going to be scared, and they have 100% just rights to defend their domicile, to defend.
They have to. They have
life.
No reference to know what you will or will not do, so they have to assume the worst.
Look, man, like, and it's the same thing as like the subway incident, right? Now, the video of that guy getting held in a submission hold, and then he ended up, like, they put him on his side, they brought him, they tried to make sure he was okay, and then like he ended up dying in the hospital. He didn't die on the floor there; he died in the hospital. The Jordan Neely, but like, there's that video, the one that gets made nationwide. There's not the video of all the times where somebody's being restrained. The second you let him up, he gets a knife and he kills you, or it's an unfortunate set of events. But look, man, like, it was given to me as a piece of advice down here. For example, like, they have laws in Paraguay that it's that whole like equal reciprocation, reciprocal review of somebody entering your property unannounced. Is if they've got a gun and they shoot at you, you can shoot back. Oh, great. But if they come at you with a knife, you can't shoot them. You have to, I don't know, I guess use a knife. But what I was told from a legal perspective, you're probably better off making sure that guy does not leave your property. If they break in, you have a better chance of beating the court if they die than if you shoot them and they're injured, then you're paying for them for life.
Right. So I agree that there are certain situations that are just unfortunate where loss of life is going to take place. The problem I have is people celebrating it.
Yeah, I get that.
Mean-spiritedness of it, and the lack of compassion for your fellow man. Yeah, the guy, if someone breaks into your house and you have to kill them, you had to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't contest that at all.
Look at Kyle Rittenhouse, dude. Look at Kyle Rittenhouse. The one guy who got his arm blown off. The one guy who got his arm blown off had a gun and was pointing it at Kyle Rittenhouse. Right?
Yeah.
Now that guy survived. Did he learn? Did he turn his life around? Did he change? Did he make things better? No. He's fucking suing Kyle Rittenhouse in civil damages. He's making things worse. Like, he didn't learn anything from that. It didn't get better. He got poor me mode and he doubled down, tripled down. So it's unfortunate. I get what you're saying about the celebration of these things. Like, don't celebrate it. The whole thing sucks.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend that, like, somebody who is coming with an premeditated intent to harm by trying to break into somebody's house, that, like, I don't know. It's not like it was an accident.
No.
Right.
And like I said, I don't contest the point at all that sometimes the outcome is necessary.
I would say in this case it was.
Oh, like, the boy had to shoot the guy. There's no question about it. All I'm saying is, I don't think it's good to celebrate that the guy died.
I think the people are probably just misplacing their glee. I would look at it in terms of, like, hey, the victim was the person who was aggressed upon first.
Oh,
and
definitely.
That victim defended themselves. Now, you and I both know now what state was this in?
I don't even remember.
The key thing is that now we don't live in a just society anymore. And even though you have the rights to, like, for example, Tab, he lives in St. Louis, right? and it wasn't it in St. Louis where there was that couple. There was that couple that had they got in trouble because they were defending their property with guns that they legally owned, and they were legally out in front of their place, and there was a mob of people outside, and they managed to dissuade that mob by coming out with their guns pointed at the mob, and it worked. And now those people are being dragged.
Ruined. South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Wrong Carolina. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, North Carolina is best Carolina.
Yeah, South Kakalaki. This it's it's nuanced. it's really nuanced.
And that's, I don't know, that's kind of why I wanted to bring it up. I don't know, man. I've come to a point in my life where I have a problem with being mean spirited. And I say this as a guy who does mean spirited things, but especially for fun on a podcast. But when you're causing actual harm to someone, right? And it could be a wide range of things. And there are some areas where I'm okay with it that's probably hypocritical. But I don't know. It just really struck me like it was so sad. That guy, his choices got him killed.
Yes,
his choices got him. His choice got him killed, and I'm not making any bones about that. His death was on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I still hate that he got himself killed.
Yeah,
it'd be like it's just and then to see the rejoicing of yes, this stupid person died. Like that's not a happy thing.
I think there's a inherent human I think there's a physiological component here, which is we love justice. We love justice. Sure. Okay. We love justice. God loves justice. We celebrate justice. Now, the problem is that our view of what exactly is or isn't justice we live in an era of moral relativism, which is a cancer. And the thing is that identifying what is or isn't just can be complicated and it can be difficult. So in the case of this poor gentleman, it was justice, but it was an unfortunate justice. Okay. Because those are the repercussions. Just like the Volkswagen Amarok guy, it's like you going in the wrong lane and you run off the road or you are harmed. It's like, well, you caused that for yourself. It's unfortunate. It sucks. But I was happier when he just got pulled over. I mean, I know that like, we've shot on speed traps and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, I took joy in this one, right? Like I took joy in this one because this guy was a terror on the road. The worst. Yeah, man, this one's a complicated one, but at the same time, like I get what you're saying. The other thing is I think there's a part of us that is always striving for better. You want to see better from your own community. You want to see them be better than that, right? Like you want to see them be better than that. I don't know if the majority of people in our community that might be, you said it was a patriot group that it was in. I don't think we're there as a group to, I think you got to cut them slack too. Cause they're just ignorant to, there's so many injustices going on right now that it's hard to properly count your W's if you don't actually know what a W is or should be. I think we have a warped view of what a W is. And I would say the W in this situation is a homeowner defended their property and their family within it.
Yeah.
The injustice is, hey, we shouldn't celebrate this death. Celebrating the death. You could be relieved that good guy with gun versus bad guy with gun situation happened. I mean, again, it's like you have to go into, like, let's say a police standoff, and you've got people who are held hostage in a bank, and then the guy comes out and gets blasted by a bunch of police fire. Now, are you celebrating that the police stopped that man from killing hostages or doing all
Yeah,
those kind of
totally.
things? Yeah, he died. Like, it's the same sort of thing. Like, you're committing a capital, like a big crime. I don't know what the penalty is for B&E in Carolina, in South Carolina.
I'm not sure.
It shouldn't be warranting death, but the
But
person has the right to defend their property. I mean,
like I said, the guy took his life into his own hands when he did that, and he gambled and he lost.
yeah,
So
big time.
that's
Big
my
time.
issue.
All
That's
right, good issue, man. Good issue. So yeah, man, you're this much closer to being able to finally get some sleep.
I got to get a shower first, man. I'm itchy all over.
Do we have voicemails though? Are we gonna do a voicemail segment after this?
Well, here with the voicemail section is Tab Bert.
Oh,
So
great.
because I don't have the I don't have that app. I don't have it on my
That's right.
phone. I don't have it on the computer. So coming up after the music will be Tab Bert with voicemails, and he'll address all the topics. But until that time, this has been Here's What I Don't Get.
I'm El Chaco.
I'm Uncle Buck.
Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Bye-bye.
I love how, like, we got left to do work for him while he was, stepping in to help. And then we just ended up creating more work for him in the aftermath of having to do a bunch of post. Thank you, Tab.
Yeah, buddy. This is what can I
Here's
say?
what I don't get.
He knows what he signed up for.
Exactly. God bless.
The consequences of his own decisions.
Take glee in it. Awesome.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right.